It's the night before. We'll get about 6 hours of sleep. Gotta get up at about 3 a.m. so we can leave no later than 4 a.m. tomorrow morning for our race to Las Vegas. What is the race all about? Well, it's a race against time. It's about 1,000 miles from here, our home in Montana, to Las Vegas, Nevada. And, well, we want to get there in one day, so we need to leave early. Google estimates somewhere from close to 14 hours to close to 16 hours, I guess, depending on traffic a little bit. So we'll see how long it actually will take. We obviously have charging stops, and Google don't know that. But we're trying to minimize charging stops, and we'll see how fast we can get there. I hope to be there no later than 8 p.m. tomorrow night. So as long as we get up on time, I think that shouldn't be a problem. It takes us probably, I would guess, about 16 to 17 hours. If traffic's really good, we're more on the 16-hour side. If traffic's really bad, we're more on the 17-hour side. In general, the charging will not hold us up very much, as usually we need bathroom breaks and then we have a lunch break. And we'll combine those obviously with charging, and so we'll be stopping about every 2 hours or so, roughly. And well, we'll see how that goes. And we have the car loaded up. We gotta just throw one more suitcase in the morning. I did reset the trip A because I have a tendency to forget that. So yeah, we're basically ready. The car is ready. We cleaned the windows so we can actually see. I did a tune-up, which means I filled up the windshield washer fluid. So we are ready to go, and I'll see you at about 4 a.m. Good night. Look at this beautiful sight. 100% we're fully charged. It is about time to leave here. We're about ready to get in the car and go in a few minutes and start our race to Las Vegas. Okay, it is 4:05 a.m. and we're ready to get going. Nothing's in the navigation since we know we're going to Butte. We'll just be navigating to the Supercharger in Butte. We have arrived in Butte. No wind today. All glory is just hanging there. So, I put the navigation in here real quick for Vegas. It says we need 20 minutes to continue the trip here. We are at 21%, and that is what the navigation estimated when I turned it on after I reached the interstate. So I drove from home to the interstate without navigation. I know getting to Butte here, well, under these conditions, we get here easily with 20%, so no big deal. Don't really need navigation to get here, but the navigation was right on with its estimate. So now we just need to charge here, and it shows here for Lima minus 31%. So I guess we gotta get at least 31% in here. That would make it about 52. So it probably goes to about 60% here, and then we'll go on. And yeah, so far so good. And finally we got a little light out. It's not pitch dark anymore. Let's see how much we can get here. It did start preconditioning about 20 minutes ago. I think it was like 23 miles out. Here we go. Wow, 148 there real quick. So we're maxing the charger out here. At 143, we're pretty much at max speed. So one thing we could have done is actually stop at the Electrify America, which we passed about 3 miles ago. And we could have gotten faster speeds there, charging on CCS on one of the 350 kilowatts. But I think we'll do this trip down to Vegas all on Superchargers, and we'll see how that goes time-wise. But so yeah, now we got 20 minutes here before we can leave, and it suggests, oh, now it's gone. It suggests we should watch something on the screen here. But so yeah, we'll let this go. It is 6:18 now, so about 6:40 we should be ready to get going. And well, I'll give you an update before we leave. Here we go. That is the message we were looking for. We're ready to go. It's 6:35 or 36 now. We are already at 72%. It's still going at 92 kilowatts, so we've been going pretty fast. So let's unplug and get going. Now we're going to Lima. It estimates we get there with 18% and need another 20-minute charge right there. About an hour and a half, 113 miles to go. And let's see here. So right here, this was $14.06. Hi, Mike from the future here, or actually, I mean, I'm in the present, but well, by the time you see this, it's all history. But no, I just wanted to give some input here real quick in regards to our first leg of this travel. We started at 100% at home, got to Butte with 21%. When I started the navigation, it estimated 21%, so we were right on, so the car estimated correct. Also, we basically started charging at 6:18, and by 6:36 we were done departing basically, and the car estimated 20 minutes to charge, so we were actually 2 minutes faster charging than what the car estimated. So now we're on our second leg to Lima, Montana. We started with 73%. And the navigation estimates 18% arrival, estimates 20-minute charge. And so yeah, we'll see how that will work out. And well, I'll chime in again after Lima. Before I go, I want to say something else. So we did about 95% of this trip on FSD, on full self-driving. We actually have the full self-driving beta version on this car, which is different from the basic full self-driving, so people quite frequently confuse that. It's also way different from just the basic autopilot. But yes, we did about 95% of this trip on FSD, and the car actually did very well. Once in a while it got a little unsure about itself and wanted to make sure by beeping at us, making sure I'm still holding on to the wheel. And another thing is, when it messed up, it was usually in a weird construction zone type deal where it changes lane kind of weird and stuff, but it was never dangerous in that case. And another place it kind of did funny is in driving through Salt Lake City. Because we were in the carpool lane, it wanted to pull out of the carpool lane every time there was an exit for some reason. So that was kind of funny. But overall, it's done really great, and we've been pretty happy with this. It made driving a lot easier, especially on such a long day. Well, now I'm getting out of here, and I'll see you in Lima. We arrived in Lima. It estimates 20-minute charge. It says for Pocatello minus 39%. We are currently at 17, so we need to get up to at least about 60% or so. It gave us a 20% buffer last time, and I believe it's at 18% estimated arrival. We're at 17, so we're doing pretty good. We can also see them from Pocatello to the next one. It's got a 19% buffer, and then the next buffer is a little smaller there. We only got 11%, then 16, then 18. So it always puts a decent buffer in there. But so, well, 20 minutes, that makes it about 8:32. So let's get charging. Seems like 143 kilowatts is the max. It did precondition. It started about 8 miles out, about 7-8 minutes ago before we got here, and we're pretty much maxing out the charger here again. So now we just gotta wait the 20 minutes and off we go. So we just got a couple more minutes to wait here before we can go. It already shows 12% for Pocatello, so we basically could leave, but it doesn't really benefit us because the Pocatello charger is also only 150 kilowatts, and right now we're still going at basically 90. So, and we'll be done here in a minute. So there's no real benefit of leaving here early. We're not gonna be saving much, maybe a minute or two we could save, because it would stay up at a higher charge rate a little longer in Pocatello, but it doesn't really matter. So we'll be leaving here shortly. We're already at 73%. It's 8:33, so it's basically 20 minutes right now. And the next leg here is 140 miles an hour, 47 minutes. So we'll be going here shortly. And here it is already 8:34, so about 22 minutes or so of charging. Now we'll unplug. And this charging session here was $15.91. And now I got lucky and I got a new driver over here. My chauffeur done great. We made it to Pocatello. Estimated charge time 15 minutes. And then we have a longer charge time at the next stop there. So we'll see. And so the next one here is also 150 kilowatt. This one here will be a 250, so it brings us in with a little bit less than so far. So far it brought us in with about 20%. Now it will bring us in at this 250 then with about 10%, because we can charge way faster there at the 250. So, well, it is 10:30 right now. Temperature came up a little bit, 78 degrees. We are at 20%, so the estimation was about right. So far the navigation done a pretty good job. It says minus 24% for the next stop, so we need to come up to at least 44%. I guess it will take us up to about 65 or so. So let's get plugged in. We topped at 147, so we're maxing out the charger again right here. So 15 minutes until we can continue the trip. So about 10:45 we should be ready to get going again. Okay, we just got it again, right on time, 10:47. It came up to 67%. We're still going at 106 right now, so we're doing pretty good. This time also it did not precondition coming here, so the battery was plenty warm. And since we have a 30-minute expected charge time, let's take this away. So we got 30 minutes expected here at the next stop, but we're still over 100 right here, so I'm gonna let it go a little bit longer till it drops down to about 95, and then we'll take off, because the next one is gonna be 150 kilowatt too, so we might as well wait here till we get down into the mid 90s before we go. So while this is going here a little bit longer, we're dropping pretty quick now, but we can look here real quick. We drove from, since last charge, this was 140 miles, and we averaged 264, so we're doing pretty good. And we drove already 404 miles today, used 126 kilowatt hours at 312 watt hours per mile. This is quite a bit higher, especially because of the initial trip from home to Butte. That is always a relatively high consumption there. Then also getting over to Lima over the mountains there takes up quite a bit, but from now on it will be much better. We'll see much lower average consumption like this here. So, and now here we dropped below 90, but we're already at 73%, and it just took like 3 more minutes, so let's get going. And this time it was $13.21, and now it is 10:51, 78 degrees out. It's getting toasty now, so let's see here. It doesn't move on for some reason. Let's redo that. 3 more superchargers before we get to Vegas. All right, an hour and 20 minutes, 97 miles to go to the next charger, and we should arrive there with about 36%, and then hopefully have 30 minutes or less charging time. When we arrived at the next supercharger, the Autopark popped up on the screen, and it hardly ever does, and so it's like, oh, let's take advantage of it and see how it does. And it was just for fun. I mean, I can park in half the time, but I wanted to test it again. I haven't tested it in a long time, but it did not really improve much. I mean, it's pulling into an empty parking spot with everything empty around it, but it's gone forward and back a couple times. It was just for fun. Okay, we arrived in Tremonton, Utah, and the estimated charge time now is 20 minutes because we got a few extra percent on the last charge stop, so that helped us because initially it wanted to be here 30 minutes. So It is 12:07, 20 minutes, so about 12:30 we should be done. It's 88 degrees, and it was actually preheating the battery for about 10 minutes, roughly 10 to 12 miles. So got here with 33%, so well, let's plug it in. Only 137 max. It was kind of weird, the button also did not work to open the charge port door. Interesting. 134. That's one of the lowest we have gotten so far. Not sure why. Well, we'll see how this goes. So here we are. We just got our food, and I just got the text message that the car is ready, charged, ready to go. But as you can see, we gotta finish eating, and then we got another 5-minute walk back to the car. All right, 2 of us made it back to the car. We gotta go pick up the third one. We are already at 97%, and well, where do we have to go here? 2 hours 15 minutes, 158 miles to Nephi. That's where we gotta go. Well, the delay here, 20 minutes late or so, is us and not the car. The car was ready in time. Let's look real quick here. This charging session was $16.92, and now off we go. We keep losing a few minutes here and there, it looks like. So initially the car said we would arrive at 11:45 in Tremonton, and that's the stop we were just at, and we actually arrived at 12:08. So we've been 23 minutes late. Not sure where we actually lost this, but there was quite a bit of construction on the way down here, and a couple minutes lost every time for recording the video. Actually, every time we stop, I don't plug in immediately and lose 2 to 3 minutes just right there. So that is a loss in Butte, and a loss in Lima, and a loss in Pocatello, and if that's 3 minutes for 3 times, that's 9 minutes. So there's about 9-10 minutes lost just right there for actually recording. So if you don't have to record, you could travel a little bit faster. And so far the navigation has been pretty accurate. I mean, we come in basically on time, like I said, a couple minutes late but also the estimated state of charge at arrival is pretty accurate, just a couple % off. And now this time we were sitting at the restaurant having lunch, so we spent an extra 20 minutes at this charger. The car was ready in time, I know that because of the app, but then we had another 20 minutes at the charger, and now we still have to go pick up my wife, so we lose another couple more minutes right there. But we gained a lot more charge, and so that will probably mess with our charging here that's coming up for the rest of the drive, but we'll see. We have arrived in Nephi. It says we got 20 minutes to charge here. We still have 36% since we pretty much fully charged at the last station because of lunch. It is 2:58 now, 94 degrees out, so by 3:20 we should be going here. It says Cedar City Supercharger here at minus 27%, so it changed its mind here a little bit. It took the Mesquite away, made this charge stop here shorter since we have more, but puts us into Cedar City, so it changed just a little bit. But so we need at least 27% more here, so we'll see. This here I believe is a 250 kilowatts, so that shouldn't go too slow here. That should go pretty decently fast here. So, and it did preheat about 7 or 8 miles ago. It started about 7 or 8 minutes ago, miles exactly the same roughly, so we should be good for a fast charging session here. Here we go, 150. Oh, it tops off at 150, that's it. but at least we're getting here 147 and we are at 36%, so that's not too bad. So we should be ready in 20 minutes at 320. 317, we're done. We got enough charge to continue the trip. It's going only at 66, so no sense in sitting here any longer. All right, 81%, that's where we're at. And then, so now it says, oh, $14.19. Now we're going to Cedar City. We should be arriving there with 15%. Need a 20-minute charge. And then we should be able to make it to Vegas. So this is a 2-hour, 22-minute drive, 172 miles. Well, off we go. I have a confession to make. No, it's not that bad, don't worry. So, I was kind of surprised only getting 150 kilowatts at this supercharger, because I thought it would be a 250 kilowatt. I seen that somewhere. Well, if one would have looked a little bit closer, he would have noticed that there are 8 250 kilowatt superchargers on the other side of the building. But we didn't see that from the side we came in. We just seen those 8 150 kilowatts that been there for years, but didn't see the new ones, the 250s on the other side of the building. So we got stuck at 150, but still, we were super fast. We were under the estimated time of the navigation to get going. Arrived in rainy Cedar City. It's pouring down, or was pouring down, thunder and lightning, and we got a software update. So estimated charge is 20 minutes and we got here with 6%. And so if you would feel uncomfortable driving that low, there was actually a charger 60 miles ago that we could have gotten some charge if we wanted to, but the navigation said we can make it here with 7%, so that's what we went for. And then it says we can make it to Vegas with minus 44%, so we need to get at least 44% here. That would make only 50% total that we need, so I would assume it'll bring us up to about 70% before we leave. And then Vegas is 2 hours 39 minutes 172 miles, about the same as we just did now. And if we needed to or wanted to, there are like 2 or 3 more chargers. There's a couple in St. George, and then there's Mesquite, so we would have other options to stop if we wanted to, or if we needed to. But according to this, we should be able to make it all the way to our destination. So, well, let's plug in. We are all the way down in the red, and here we go, ramping up. This here is a 250 kilowatt charger, so we should see something decent. It did preheat a little bit, but just about 4 minutes ago, about 4 miles ago, it turned on. Wow, we're not getting very much. That is kind of weird. That is weird. We should get way more than that at such a low state of charge. That is totally weird. Wonder what's going on here. It's just not ramping up. Huh. That is weird. So looking in the app here, you can see right there, it's still preheating. It doesn't have temperature. Wow. So it's slowly ramping up as it is heating. So it is heating right now. It should have started to preheat sooner, but maybe the rain cooled it down too much. And I mean, it's only 64 degrees now, and just about 15 minutes ago it was much hotter and dry. Now we're going there, we talk 252 there. Now we're talking about 1,000 miles per hour. That's what 1,001 mile per hour, 1,002 miles per hour. That's what we'd like to see. 1,003 miles per hour, 1,004 miles, 5 miles. Wow, we're getting more out of that charger than what it is rated at. That is really cool. Now we're cooking here. We're going good now. That is what we want to see. And we just need to keep that for a few minutes. We're already up to 12%. We're long gone out of the red. We're in the amber. And it won't take long and this will turn green. 253 kilowatts. Wow, that is nice. I wonder how long we can hold that. And it says 15 minutes to continue trip. It hasn't been 5 minutes yet. So we're doing pretty good if we can keep this up. We're getting 254, 1,008 miles per hour. So we're down to 90 kilowatts only here. It went down pretty quick. It says still 5 minutes, but it already shows here that we would arrive with 13% in Vegas. And like I said, there's a couple more chargers in between, so I think I might as well just get going, because I believe the other chargers are 250s and we can easily get over 100 and be faster with a stop there. I mean, this will be done here any second too, probably. Add a little food again, some snacks, and walk through the big puddle to the gas station so we can use the bathroom. And now it's pretty much time to get going again here. So I think I'm going to unplug and we'll get going. All right, it's 6 p.m. Only 64 degrees. We got 72%. And we paid $18 for this quick charge right here. And now we'll get on the way. And according to this, we'll make it all the way to Vegas at this point. And if not, we can charge in Mesquite if we need to or want to. Here it is. This is the resort. We're here. It says 7:34 p.m. and that is Pacific time. So it's actually 8:34 Mountain time where we started. We got here with 17%. Nice and toasty, 102 degrees out. Let's look here real quick. So, oh, that's not what I wanted. We need trips right there. All right, so trip A, 1,000 miles exactly. 1,000 miles exactly to get here. We used 281 kilowatt hours and we averaged 281 watt hours per mile. That is funny. So we hit this exactly on the mile, and this is the same number. That is pretty freaking cool. So, and then since last charge it was 173 miles. That was a long distance here, and we only used 213. So it was mostly downhill, and here it's warm, so the climate control doesn't use very much, and it was kind of late in the day, so there was not much sun burning us, so that was really cool. So we could get flying here, well, flying at the speed limit, 2 miles above the speed limit according to the speedometer. That's what we did for the whole trip, wherever possible. Sometimes it was not possible. During the rainstorm we had to go slower, and then sometimes in traffic like through Salt Lake City and St. George and then coming into Vegas, we had to go a little slower. So, but yeah, that is pretty cool. We did it 1,000 miles exactly. So I'll add up all the numbers, and also now we're at 17%. I want to go fully charge it again and add that into the cost of driving here. And well, I'll figure all those numbers out, and I'll be right back. All right, the numbers everybody is waiting for. So I've got all the numbers, driving time, charging time, amount of money spent on charging, and I got the comparables to a internal combustion engine vehicle as well. But right now we're still missing our last charge for this trip, which would be our first charge in Las Vegas. So because we got there with a low state of charge, but we left here with 100%, so we got to bring that up some, and I got some video about this. So let's watch this first, and then we get into all these numbers. Okay, we're here at the charging station on South Las Vegas Boulevard, and there's a whole bunch of cars here. So pretty full. And well, again, 254 kilowatts. Wow, 1,007 miles per hour. That's perfect. So yep, and we're down to we were down at 15%, so we're going up already. So it's 50 minutes remaining right now. That will be till full. We'll do about 80%. That will definitely do. Now that's only 20 minutes remaining, and well, now we gotta hurry and find the grocery store here and get some stuff, and hopefully we can get that done in 20 minutes. We just brought it up to 74% because the grocery store is not here. It says in the description there's a grocery store here, but we couldn't find one. So, but anyway, so that was $11.44. That brought us back up to 74%. So we'll add that into our calculations for the total trip. Now let's get to the numbers. I want to point out that the navigation was right on with travel time, charge time, and the estimated state of charge at arrival. It was always correct, except for one time in Cedar City, Utah. We arrived with 9% less than it initially estimated. It did estimate 15%, but we got there with 6%. And I think that had to do with the weather conditions. We actually got into rain, pretty heavy rain at times, and it definitely takes more energy to get through that. So I think this was a factor that maybe the system didn't know about, as weather changes pretty quick at times, and we had some monsoon type weather going on there. So I think that may be the cause, but still it was not an issue. We had 6% left as we got to the charger. also, if one wouldn't have felt safe to get that low, there was another charger 60 miles ahead of Cedar City, so one could have stopped there and charged up a little bit just to be safe to make it to Cedar City. So but yes, overall the navigation in the Tesla has been extremely accurate, and yeah, right off the bat, if you watch the video and you look at the times, you notice that the times move a little bit, so that it actually, we should have arrived sooner, but it all took a little bit longer. And the thing with that is, it is what I'm doing right now, recording. So there's a lot of time spent recording that one would not spend if you don't record, right? If you're just driving and charging and whatever, all this good stuff, then you don't spend the extra time. And we spend quite a large amount of time. I would guess it adds about 5 minutes per charging stop just in recording. So with 6 charging stops, that's a half an hour right there that we lost just for recording. And so the times given for arrival at the next location in the navigation is always off a little bit, because we spent some time before charging and some time after charging for recording. So but yes, it is very accurate. Also, it puts in a decent buffer. Like I said, yeah, we used a little more, but we still got there with 6%. I mean, we could have driven quite a bit further with those 6% if we needed to. So we drove a total of 1,000 miles, 1,610 kilometers. The total travel time, according to the clock, was about 16.5 hours. And what do I mean according to the clock? Well, again, that filming, that recording of the trip takes time. So if you're just looking at 5 minutes per charging stop, that half an hour, then that would bring us down to 16 hours of travel time if you don't record like we do. So these times go up and down anyway, because traffic, weather will just change. I mean, there is no prediction. It's extremely hard to predict what it is in 10 hours from now. They can take the average of the traffic that's usually there, but there's no real average for the weather either. So anyway, yeah, so basically, if you would record, I would say you could do this in 16 hours. We done it in 16.5. The total charge time was 2 hours and 20 minutes. That is the time that our car was connected to the charger. That does not include what we done before or after charging. So again, there is more time that we spent at the charger than the 2 hours and 20 minutes just because of recording this. But the actual charging time was 2 hours and 20 minutes that we had. Now, there's another thing with that. We spent an extra 20 minutes at one charger because we were eating lunch. And so the state of charge went up to 97% at that location. And yeah, as you probably know, from 20 to 80%, it takes a certain amount of time. And from 80 to 100%, it takes that same amount of time it would take from 20 to 80. So it charges really, really slow. So there were 20 minutes we didn't really gain much charge because it was charging so slow. If we actually would have cut our lunch short and would have left, we could have then made that up in about 2 or 3 minutes at the next charger rather than spending 20 minutes there. So basically the charging time, we should cut it down to more like 2 hours. Well, maybe 2 hours and 3 minutes. But yeah, again, it really depends, because we just lost that time because of lunch. The drive time would have been about 14 hours and 10 minutes if we take into account the additional time for filming. If we deduct that, take that out again, we would be about 13 hours and 40 minutes. And now we're exactly in the time frame that Google had for driving. So we're right there. So definitely there was time spent for charging, but not too much time spent for charging, because it went pretty quick. We had lunch that made it longer. We did go to the bathroom, walked around a little bit, stretched our legs during those breaks. And even if you don't do that, I mean, if you would drive an internal combustion engine vehicle, you would probably stop about 3 times, roughly about every 300 miles, and get gas. It takes at least 10 minutes to fill up gas, so that would be 30 minutes on your time. And well, then you haven't gone to the bathroom yet, right? Because you gotta be there with the pump while it's filling, in case something happens. I know some people don't do that, but that's basically what you're supposed to do. So your passengers could go to the bathroom real quick while you're filling, and then you go. And so before you know it, you spend 15 to 20 minutes each stop anyway. So you're somewhere around 30 minutes to an hour additional time regardless, if you're driving a gas car. So that brings you basically, let's say if the actual driving time was 13 hours 40 minutes like we had, the driving time wouldn't change, because, well, if you obey the speed limit obviously and drive safe, you would have the same time. And then you would add anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes, so that will bring you up to 14 hours 10 minutes, or up to 14 hours 40 minutes total time. But now you haven't taken a lunch break yet. So I don't know. I mean, when I was young and crazy, I would do stuff like that and never stop, and but if you're going on vacation and you don't want to get there and basically be dead and hurting and totally tired and can't do anything anymore, you will take some additional stops. Also, maybe your family members need some additional stops. And so, yeah, you're gonna add about an hour to an hour and a half for refueling and for personal needs during that time. And I mean, you could even maybe take some people may take a breakfast break, the lunch break and the dinner break, because I mean, it was a long enough time there that you could do that. So even with a gas car, actually the time can increase pretty drastically. So, but that said, it will, let's just say in an electric car, because of the charging, we probably add somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half of additional time. And I think that's a reasonable assumption. Now, that additional time is usually, if you don't just sit in the car, actually, if you go walk around, if you do your bathroom breaks, whatever, if you don't do any additional breaks besides the charging breaks like we did, then you get to the destination basically relaxed and not totally tired, and you're still up to do stuff. You can still go on and do things, but yes, it took you a little longer to get there. Let's see, charging. We had 6 charging stops, and the one in Las Vegas to fuel back up at the end. And we totaled $103.73, so about $104. If you would have done this in a internal combustion engine vehicle, you would only have stopped 3 times probably for getting gas. And so I calculated how much money you would have spent for gas based on a car that has a fuel mileage of 30 miles per gallon. That is 7.84 liters per 100 kilometer. I don't know what car gets 30 miles to the gallon going 80 miles per hour. According to the EPA rating for highway, there are several cars that get the 30 miles to the gallon, but the EPA does not drive 80 miles an hour during their tests. They are going somewhere around 65, maybe 70. That's it. And the faster you go, the more fuel you need. This is the worst part of it. Speed is the killer. So I don't know of a car that would get 30 miles per gallon at 80 miles per hour. But anyway, I took that calculation at 30 miles per gallon. I'm going to make the gas car look better. And the car would have used about 33.5 gallons, roughly. And I took the local gas cost. So I looked at what it is in Montana, Idaho, Utah, and then in Las Vegas. And according to that, I calculated it, because here in Montana we're about $4. And then I think it goes, Idaho is $4.15, Utah would be $4.31, and then Vegas was $4.45. That's the average cost of the cheapest gas. So that is if you put 87 octane, the cheapest gas, in your car. Some people don't do that, so then it becomes more expensive. But so with a internal combustion engine vehicle, the gas cost would have been $143, which is a bit more, about $40 more actually. And so that makes the EV right there already cheaper. That's about a 27% difference. And that's about what you can expect. It depends a little bit on where you live and where you travel to, but somewhere around 25 to 30% less for fuel if you drive an EV. That's about what it is. So sometimes people complain on a certain trip that they spent as much as they would have with whatever gas car they were driving. And well, it happens because of high electricity costs in certain areas. It can get up pretty high. Also, many Tesla supercharging stations, they don't just charge a fixed price. They actually have a charge like a curve. So if during the busy times, it's more money than it is during the less busy times. And some people that obviously experience those high costs, they were traveling during busy times, like a Labor Day weekend or a Memorial Day weekend, a 4th of July weekend, some holiday weekend. Then the chargers are busy and the prices are high, right? And so, well, yeah, that brings the cost up. So if you arrange your travel, just like flying, if you arrange your flights accordingly, you can get much better prices, right? And that's the same thing here with your fuel cost for your EV. You can actually save money. But in general, it's about 25 to 30% in savings in regards to fuel cost of your electric car. Now, another interesting point that I want to make in regards to fuel cost, and I consider electricity a fuel because it fuels this car basically. If I drive 1,000 miles at home, if I would have done this at home and would have had to charge this amount of kilowatt hours at home it would only have cost me $26. Okay, so now the difference becomes even bigger, because the gas car still, even here at home, it would have been a little bit cheaper because in Montana the gas is a little bit cheaper, but not much. So overall it's about 80% cheaper to drive or to fuel an electric car. So yeah, this is about an 80% difference here that we would have had. So charging at home is always way cheaper than traveling, but still you can save somewhere between 25 and 30% in fueling costs for the EV. It was a long trip, but we got there and we were not completely burned out, so that was nice. So yeah, we were easily ready to go and charge up the car for the last time of that for the first time, the last time of driving there, the first time of being there, and finding grocery store and going grocery shopping. That was no big deal because we got there relatively relaxed. And I would say a big thing for that is the breaks that we are forced to take. So it's actually good because we get out, we walk around, we do stuff. It is good for your body. I mean, if you talk to a health expert, they will tell you you should stop every 2 hours anyway. So that definitely helped. And yeah, we were still doing stuff after driving over 16 and a half hours or traveling over 16 and a half hours. So yeah. Also, this car here has FSD beta, which is the most advanced version of full self-driving that is available to a consumer at this point. That helped a lot too. Even my daughter was driving on FSD beta. She drove 2 legs of that trip, so she drove about 300 miles altogether. And she even wanted to test FSD, and so she was driving on FSD, which means basically the car was driving. You just have to look straight forward pretty much and hold on to the wheel. So it's got to feel that you're holding the wheel, and the interior camera that's actually right above this camera there is watching you, because they want to make sure you don't look down at your cell phone or you look down at the screen, right? If you do that, you will get a warning. If it doesn't feel you holding the steering wheel, it will give you a warning. And so you got to pay attention. You just can relax a little bit more. You can afford to look out the window once in a while when somebody says, hey, look at this. Then you can actually look, because the car is still paying attention. So that helps. That makes the trip way more enjoyable. There's many people that say, well, FSD is not worth the money. That is a personal opinion. But we definitely enjoyed it. My daughter wanted to try it, so I turned it on for her. She was happy with it too. It made her drive more relaxed for her, and she even drove through Salt Lake City without any issues. So it was a pretty cool trip overall. And yep, we're still convinced there is no way we would ever go back to an internal combustion engine car. We still have our truck. There's no replacement for it at this point, so that will take a little longer. But definitely cars, EVs are just so much nicer to drive, so much more fun to drive, much more efficient to drive, cost so much less to maintain. You make up the money that you pay in advance. You make that up in no time. You pay a little bit more when you buy it, but you make that up in no time. So we're still super happy with EV, and traveling with EVs is in general fun. It's not hard to do. It doesn't take much longer, and it saves you quite a bit of money. So now just make sure that you go down below and click that like button. Give us a thumbs up for this video. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Obviously, we got to drive back too. There will be another video. There's some stuff in Vegas that we have videos of. Also, if you're new to the channel, go click the channel icon and look at all the videos we have. We have lots of travel videos in winter and summer with this Model 3. We have a 200,000 mile Model S. We had a Chevy Bolt. We drove the Chevy Bolt EUV. There's all kinds of cool stuff there, so go look at those. And if you're interested in a video where we did 1,000 miles this year, 1 year ago we did 900 miles to St. George, Utah. So there's a video there. And that reminds me, the video back from St. George back to home, actually in Salt Lake, we stopped at IKEA and put a few boxes on the roof here, and there's a video about that too, so you can see how the efficiency was affected by putting stuff on the roof here. So lots of cool stuff there. Also, down in the description, there is a link to our Redbubble store. We got some cool items there. Maybe you'd like something. In any event, thank you for watching. Goodbye.